Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm aggressively bald.
And this is the news.
So, story number one, and this is kind of a big one. So, WWE have been very slow with the Hall of Fame this year. They've usually at least announced the headliner, which this year is thought to be The Undertaker, but we haven't had any confirmation. That is all speculation. However, it looks like we now know the big stable induction this year, and it's not the NWO.
Right.
It is, according to PW Insider, who are usually on the money with things like this, the Hart Foundation, the original Hart Foundation. That is Bret Hart, who of course is already in the Hall of Fame as a singles act, Jimmy Hart, who is already in the Hall of Fame, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, who isn't already in the Hall of Fame, but this will be a nice acknowledgement for him. He was a very important part of that group, a very effective enforcer for Bret and Jimmy. What's interesting about this induction is that they are not including people who later joined their group. That means there's no Danny Davis, there's no Owen Hart, there's no Brian Pillman, and there's no Davey Boy Smith. Not a huge controversy, as Davey Boy and Pillman were only in the Hart Foundation when they reformed in 1997, and Owen was very much a new Hart Foundation guy in the early 90s, not the original. But still, it's a pretty interesting induction for one of WWE's most legendary stables.
Absolutely well-deserved and a strong start to the Hall of Fame inductions. They obviously usually start off, like you say, with the headliner and then go from there. But if this is the case, I mean, it's a great opener.
It really is. And like, if you look at the guys who aren't going to be inducted as part of this, they're kind of understandable. They certainly deserve it on merit as to how their career went. Well, Owen should definitely be in the Hall of Fame. Like, that's not understandable. I believe there's some kind of dispute with his wife, something like that, to do with his rights. But Pillman and Bulldog obviously, unfortunately, passed away through certain personal demons. WWE don't like pushing that to the forefront with these Hall of Fame inductions and stuff. So I get why they're not there. They're also not part of the group's most famous legacy. So, you know, Hart Foundation, good.
Just very quickly, we obviously know what's going to be going on during WrestleMania weekend. Do you think they might try to, and this is no reflection on putting the Hart Foundation in, but do you think they might try and put more or bigger names in this year in an attempt to compete with the New Japan Ring of Honor Supercard, or do you think they're just going to say, look, the committed fans will go there and then the fans of New Japan will go to that show?
I think what you've just said there, I believe that they will kind of just rely on the Hall of Fame to get its usual crowd. I don't think it ever really sells out.
No.
It's not a big marquee event. It's something that I would watch at home over WrestleMania weekend if there's nothing else going on, but I think they'll just kind of accept their lot, particularly after TakeOver got absolutely roasted by New Japan and Ring of Honor in ticket sales on the Saturday night before they moved it to Friday. I don't think that's a battle they'll fight.
I think I'll be going to the Hall of Fame this year to report on it for WhatCulture. Just a quick word, if you can just, you know, we don't need 2 hours of Hillbilly Jim, to be fair.
Yeah, Gangrel though.
Right, let's move on to the next story from today, and it is another news report from your friend and mine, Jackson Pollock of the wrestling...
It's John Pollock, you dick!
John Pollock of Post Wrestling. One day I'll get that right. And it's an update on what is going to be happening post WrestleMania, and it looks, by all accounts, that we're going to see another Superstar Shake-Up. An advert aired in Canada during Raw this week, and the Superstar Shake-Up is going to be taking place in Montreal the week after the Raw after WrestleMania, which is to be expected.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to, like, the Raw after Mania is a big special show in itself. You don't want to pollute that by having the Superstar Shake-Up take place immediately on that. But yeah, very exciting. I wonder if maybe with SmackDown, you know, this big TV deal coming in October, and the general thought being that it will become the A show, do you reckon we'll see some big Raw names?
Well, I remember last year's Superstar Shake-Up, and SmackDown seemed to get the better of that one anyway, just in terms of pure fan excitement about who's going to be going onto the roster. I do agree. I think they're going to move a lot of big names over to SmackDown. The one person I'd say I'm desperate to see on SmackDown is Finn Balor. I think he'd work so well there. But the danger is, of course, if you do that alongside moving all these names over to give a bit of a revenue push to SmackDown, he gets lost in the shuffle yet again.
Yeah, this is the thing. I mean, it's only a 2-hour show. There's only so many people you can throw across there. But I think this will be a very interesting Superstar Shake-Up. Perhaps even more interesting than the past couple of years. Not that they were bad, they were very exciting and they produced some cool stuff, particularly on SmackDown, which is a great show. But like, yeah, they really have to kind of stack that deck a little bit, and it'll also be interesting to see. They've got all these mad free agents going around, the EC3s, the Taki, the...
I haven't said a word yet on
Evans.
TV, by the way.
No, I know, and last night he kind of looked like a dork. But like, it's just gonna be cool to see where all these pieces land. And of course, there's always the NXT call-ups. So, big story now. Number 3, Rusev. He's not happy. He's not happy at all.
Don't blame him.
No, neither do I. And I mean, it's easy to be cynical about stuff like this because we hear about Rusev like wanting to leave WWE and looking elsewhere and being upset so often. It comes out every 3 months or so. But this time it might be legit because the big man and his wife Lana have given an interview on Lillian Garcia's Chasing Glory podcast, and I've got a few quotes here from it. So basically, he's talking here about the US title, saying it was the first one that he ever won, and it hurts him that nobody cares about it. Now that he's lost it again, the title belt is going to probably get lost as well, and I'm going to get lost too. So there's all kinds of juicy stuff in here. Lana talks about Rusev dropping 50 pounds to try and get Vince McMahon's attention. He's been working so hard to improve his physique and improve his in-ring game. And then he goes on to say, I'm just trying something to catch Vince's eye with this and that. We go, we pitch, we talk, and it never comes to anything. And then he talks about Rusev Day, the split, which was a very, unpopular thing to do. He says, I don't know what is holding me back, to be honest. I really don't. And with regards to Rusev Day, he says, we tried to push it a year or two too late. Nobody cared about it anymore. We wanted it to keep together, but management has different visions. So I've obviously just thrown a lot of different quotes at you, but man, he's not.
I completely get where he's coming from. Look, you can see he's trying to be constantly inventive on television. They want people to come up with their own things and get stuff over. Rusev Day was so over.
Yes.
I read a while back it was meant to be like a one-night thing or something. It turned out to be something that people celebrated. There were calendars, there were people talking about how WrestleMania is on Rusev Day. They should, at the very least, have given him the title at WrestleMania. That still would have been arguably a little bit late, but at least they did it then. Instead, they put the United States Championship on him on arguably the least watched episode of SmackDown in the entire year, the one around Christmas, and it's just so annoying. The Rusev Day split, as much as people didn't want it to happen, could have been a big money pay-per-view match. And they ended up build, throw it away on TV.
Yeah, bit of shagging.
Awful work.
And now look at Aiden
I
English.
completely feel for him. Aiden English is a great performer. Rusev's a great performer. Lana is fantastic as well as part of that trio.
Yeah.
There was so
Great
much
ballet.
there. They ask so much of their performers and they get nothing back.
It's WWE, baby!
Let's move on to our final story of the day, though, because we're talking all about the TV deals that Raw and SmackDown have gotten a lot of pressure on them as they come closer and closer. And the Wrestling Observer on the Wrestling Observer Radio recently, it was reported that they are going to be taking a lot more risks trying to move that needle, basically. We've talked on numerous occasions now. They need to do bigger numbers in order to justify those TV deals, and it looks like that is what is going to be happening to try and make those numbers go up. A lot more risks happening on WWE TV. This, as long as they don't hotshot stuff, can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to believe stuff like this because WWE, when it comes to shaking things up, they do it for a couple of weeks and then it's back to the norm. So the idea of change in this company is almost like a foreign concept at this point, right? We're so used to how things are and the way they do things, they conform to all these formulas, and it never really feels fresh. But if they have to do something. If they are going to take more risks and freshen their program up and, start doing things in different ways, that's very, very exciting. It's an interesting prospect, and I hope it's true. Shagger Dave, don't be lying, brother.
And it's only beneficial for us fans who watch it week in, week out regardless. Look, we've had to sit through a dirge on Monday Night Raw towards the end of last year. Things are looking up now.
Yeah.
No, last night's Raw was okay, good, I suppose. And it's, just new stuff is always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Even little tweaks and twists to the formula. Like, you know how occasionally when Raw or SmackDown starts with a match, not the opening segment, always goes over well. Just little things like that.
Even the little touch of last night, Stephanie McMahon just being in the ring, just being there already, so that the big, first Tron that we hear is Becky's as opposed to, oh, brilliant, we have to have 5 minutes.
Stephanie was really good last night. It was weird.
Did exactly what she needed to do.
Don't get it.
Right, let's move on to today's questions because one of them relates to that, in fact.
The Q&A
community. You can tweet them at us at WhatCulture WWE. Let's start with Dylan Edward, who says, do you predict any heel face turns coming soon, or are there any that you'd like to see?
Man, it's kind of actually quite hard to predict because they seem to do these things on the flip of a coin, like the Rusev heel turn last week. Like, what? Where the heck did that come from? Honestly, The one I would like to see is Finn Balor. I know he's very popular. I know a lot of people love him. He gets good pops. The music is awesome. Everything blah, blah, blah. But man, that guy was such a good heel back in the day. And if he did it, he would unlock vaults of charisma that a lot of people just don't know exists.
The face turn I'd like to see, and bear with me here because there's a justification behind it, and that justification is Daniel Bryan has no one to face at WrestleMania this year, as much as I'm trying to push The Miz versus Daniel Bryan to win me loads of pasties in the WhatCulture office. The face turn I'd like to see, just because I want to see this match, and it deserves to be one of the big matches at WrestleMania, is Andrade, the man formerly known as Andrade Cien Almas. I know it's not necessarily his character, but the moves he pulls off gets a great reaction from the crowd, and I just want to see Bryan versus Andrade, no matter who's heel or face.
And he gets pops in the ring whenever he does any of his spectacular stuff. He can get over as a babyface in the ring, and I kind of like the idea of Zelina Vega as this fiery babyface manager. It's a good idea.
There's loads more that we can surely think of, but let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Chris Ryan asks, who do you think will be the first full-time call-up from NXT?
Oh, I mean, the obvious answer here is Pedro Dunn, right? Like, I mean, he's the most complete performer. He's the guy they like the most, seemingly. I think he will be the first, but I don't want to be a boring prick, so let's go with someone a little bit more obtuse, a guy who's a bit more underrated, but is really coming into his own as a complete performer. Jordan Devlin. That guy's tremendous.
He really is a fantastic performer. We saw that on the NXT UK show. We see it week in, week out. We've seen it on British Indies for years,
He's
really.
so confident, and he has really refined his Irish ace persona, and I find it really compelling.
The one I'd like to see called up, it wouldn't necessarily work, arguably, but I'm just a huge fan of his, and I feel like he needs more and more and more exposure.
Do his voice. Go on. Go on.
Soon to be recognised as Liverpool's #1. Zach Gibson, I'm a huge fan of his. There may be a language barrier there, but I don't care.
Subtitles.
Make it work. You could even do subtitles. I just think he is the perfect heel. When we had him in Defiant Wrestling, I fell in love with him over the course of literally one promo. There's a promo where he sees a lot of people in the crowd wearing New Japan shirts, and he says, pardon the accent here, there's only 2 subscriptions coming out of your bank account, and that's the WWE Network and Pornhub Premium. Stellar performance. Get him on the main roster ASAP. And the final question of today comes from Patrick. Earlier this week, you talked about how the WrestleMania Battle, I think it was last week, but he sent it to us. Earlier this week, you talked about how the WrestleMania Battle Royals are sort of throwaway matches. Could you see WWE attaching stakes to the match by having the
Stakes. And?
A moment of silence for Otis Dozovic, who unfortunately lost his last name. Now just called Otis. Could you see WWE attaching stakes and weights to the match by having the winners either earn the first Money in the Bank spot or even a mid-card title opportunity?
I think it's a very good idea. I think it's something they definitely should do. Do I see them doing it? Absolutely not. I don't think they care about those matches.
I think, yeah, as much as they don't care about those matches, and Money in the Bank spot is still kind of a bit, you're just in the match.
Sure.
I think a mid-title opportunity.
Yeah, like if
mid-card title opportunity.
Women's title shot if whoever wins the Mae Young Classic, and like an Intercontinental or United States for the men. It's a really good idea. I don't think they'll do it.
And also, it's then at least a thread of a story from WrestleMania to the pay-per-view following, because it's always a bit muddy after that, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like the thing with those Battle Royals is it's possible to make those things feel important. Remember when Cesaro won it? It felt like a really big deal. He got his WrestleMania moment. Sorry, Cesaro. Felt like he got his WrestleMania moment, and then they did nothing with it. And ever since, it's just kind of been a mess around, like Rob Gronkowski and
It worked out for Mojo Rawley.
Look at him now, staring in the mirror, shouting at himself. Good for you, mate. Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and we're returning to sort of an old classic for today. You may remember a while back, late last year, I was talking all about WWE action figures, and I'm going to return to it today for one time because I've got to show you this new Triple H action figure.
Oh boy.
As we're showing this, Adam Nicholas, if we can just show it zoomed up in the corner, as I'm showing Andy Murray there. Oh. There he is. There's Triple H, as we'd expect on the box. And as we zoom out, there he is, for some reason dressed as Tamina.
Oh, God.
I mean, how wrong can you get it?
Wow.
We saw one a while back, and it was AJ Styles in a Roman box, or Roman in an AJ Styles box.
AJ.
But that is literally Tamina when she was in Team Bad
for about 2 months
as Triple H. Good luck.
Yeah, it's someone else. Wow, okay, cool.
Definitely is that.
A little bit of trivia for you. Team Bad's entrance theme, they only used it a couple of times towards the end of the run. It's the exact same thing as the Street Profits, only with different vocals.
That
Look it up.
is a great fact.
Stat attack.
Stat
attack.
Biggity banter.
Let us know your thoughts on that, and on everything from
Tell us
today
about the Street Profits theme tune.
in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on iTunes or Spotify for daily wrestling podcasts. My thanks to Andy. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
See you later.
See you later, new dag.
You smoked that bin. He didn't smoke the bin, he smoked the belt. You can't just put the belt in the bin. My God, what did the woman say before they went on the air?
Hey, we don't know.
Goddamn.